Do you suffer from aches and pains? Does your body feel out of ailment? Are you suffering from emotional or physical stress? The Bowen Technique brings positive healing changes to the mind, body and soul, from pregnant ladies, newborns to the elderly. I have Lucy Paul, a Bowen practitioner, here with me now. Lucy, can you talk me through the history of the Bowen Technique?
The Bowen Technique was founded in Australia in the 1950s by a gentleman called Tom Bowen. Now, a gentleman called Julian Baker was out in Australia in the 80s and received a Bowen treatment and was that amazed by the effects he had by it that he brought it over to the UK in the 1980s, and he opened up the European College of Bowen Studies, and that's where I trained through.
So how did you get into the Bowen Technique?
Well, I was away skiing for a couple of months, and I had a horrific accident and went up in the air and smashed straight down on my coccyx. And my goodness, the pain was awful, and I thought that I'd broken my coccyx, but I hadn't. They were just severely damaged. I got prescribed with some very strong painkillers, put up with it for a couple of months, came back home, came off these painkillers, and the pain was still there. I was like, oh goodness, what have I done? So then I went to see my chiropractor, and I'd seen him on many occasions before, and he just couldn't seem to get to the bottom of this and sort out the pain. So a couple of months later again, my mum said to me, oh, come along for the Bowen Technique. And I was like, oh, mother, what are you into now? What is the Bowen Technique? So went along, they performed the treatment on me. After the treatment was finished, I thought, my goodness, is that actually going to have done anything? It was so gentle, and I wasn't too sure what I was spending my money on, really. But I got up the next day and I had no pain for the first time in months to my coccyx area, and I was wowed by it. So I switched from being an estate agent to a Bowen practitioner for a complete new change in my life, and it's the best thing I think I could have ever done.
So is the Bowen Technique a form of massage then?
No, not quite. It's got similarities. The Bowen Technique is completely holistic, so it works over the whole body. So rather than just working on one area, for instance, if you had a bad knee, you would never just work on that one knee, because the overcompensation, and then the other knee could get damaged, and the shoulders could go out and the hip could go out, so the whole body becomes out of alignment. So that's a massively important thing in Bowen. It's completely holistic. Rather than massage where you use your hands completely fully on all the time, with Bowen you're just using your thumbs and your fingers, and you're making rolling movements over muscles and ligaments and tendons throughout the whole body. You're also working on the lymphatic system in the body. So the lymphatic system is such a vital part of our body that's preventing us from diseases and clearing out our blood of toxins all the time. So we're really getting the lymphatic system to work a lot better. And lastly, in Bowen, what's different to many forms of things you have is you have little breaks, little pauses for a couple of minutes. So you do a few moves, little break, few moves, little break. Now these breaks are as important as the actual moves itself, because it's a neuromuscular treatment. So during the breaks, we're just trying to get the brain to have a little conversation with the body to say, oh, there's a bit of a problem here. So get the whole body working for itself a bit more, really.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier that you can treat pregnant ladies and toddlers. Does that mean the Bowen Technique can be used on any age group?
It does, yes. You can treat newborn babies. Bit of a more gentle touch. It's gentle treatment anyway, but you're more gentle than usual on a baby. With a baby, for instance, if they've got colic or if they've had a traumatic birth, absolutely fantastic for those circumstances. Toddlers can come in, lively little bunnies, and the next thing they're like, oh wow, they really enjoy it. And quite an amazing thing as well when you're treating little youngsters is they tell you when they've had enough, and they're so responsive to it, which is great. And then on the other end of the spectrum, right the way through to the very elderly and the frail, you can use it on as well.
And what responds well to the Bowen Technique?
It's a holistic treatment, so it works over the whole body. And some of the most common complaints people see me for are back and neck pains, from tension and tightness usually, from people that are working on computers a lot or that have really poor posture. Whiplash, both recent and long-standing. And sciatica is quite a common complaint that people will see me for. Tight hamstrings, which when you've released these can really help with the lower back, and vice versa, when you've got a tight lower back and you release that, it can really help release the hamstrings as well. Tight calves, Achilles and ankle problems, usually a lot of sporting people I see with these issues. Frozen shoulders and elbow problems, such as tennis elbow. There has been cases where people would have had surgery to the shoulder and other parts of the body, but after having the Bowen treatment, they've managed to avoid surgery. On this matter, Bowen's also great pre and post-surgery as well. Now the jaw, we address that a lot in Bowen. Sometimes somebody's jaw can be out of place, clicky jaws, painful jaw when you're talking or when you're chewing. You can get neck pains and arm pains from it, ear problems, tinnitus. You can have so many problems and onsets from the jaw, so really correcting the jaw can really help the whole body massively. Not only is it just muscular and skeletal pains that Bowen can help with, but also skin conditions as it works on the lymphatic system. Allergies, asthma and lung problems. By working over the diaphragm, it can help with diseases such as Crohn's by having a big impact on the digestive system. Headaches and migraines can reduce and even go completely, along with sinus problems that can cause the headaches in some circumstances. Stress and fatigue, as we know in this day and age, is the root cause of so many problems. So as we take so much out of our bodies on a daily basis, it's great to put something back in and help reduce as much stress as we possibly can. I treat many patients with fibromyalgia as well. Now, the majority of time, the root cause of the fibromyalgia is because of the huge amounts of stress in that person's life. So really, the Bowen technique is a completely holistic treatment and it really works over the whole body.
So do your patients have to do anything in preparation for a Bowen appointment?
They just bring themselves along and I can treat them directly onto skin, or the unique thing about the Bowen technique is that you can actually treat them through light clothing.
And how long does a Bowen appointment usually last?
It usually lasts an hour. The first appointment's about an hour and 15 because you're going into slightly more detail on the medical history. Any subsequent treatments would be an hour, and we really talk about the conditions that they're presenting with on that day, their lifestyle of why they're presenting with these conditions. Sometimes people will keep coming back time after time, going to see people, getting things fixed. But really, unless you address the reason why that's happening, you're never going to really get anywhere. So we'd look at somebody's lifestyle as far as how much exercise they take, what their nutritional balance is like in their body, and how much water they're drinking on a daily basis.
And where do you work from, Lucy?
I can do home visits upon request. I work from a couple of gyms and a couple of holistic clinics, and last but not least, a private doctor's surgery where he refers some of his patients onto me.
That's fantastic that you've got a doctor recommending your complementary therapies in conjunction with conventional medicines.
It is, it's fantastic endorsement to have. What I'm really hoping to do is work alongside a lot more doctors and get more referrals from doctors in the future, because the ones I've treated so far have worked really, really well. And I'm actually treating a doctor at the moment with the Bowen technique, which is going really well.
Thank you, Lucy. It's been lovely talking to you.
Thank you so much. You too.